Hello, everybody. Welcome to the F2F Genetics webinar. This is Charles Barron from Farmers Business Network. We're going to get started here in just a minute. This is really a tremendously exciting development for FBN, and we're incredibly excited to be able to share it with you in great detail. We have close to 300 people joining tonight from all over the US, so this is going to be a very active webinar. We want everybody to be able to ask questions, and we will do our best to answer as many questions as we can, but please do log your questions in the chat box, and we will send you a couple prompts and a couple things that pop up, links that you can go to, and other key pieces of information. But please, at any time, if you have questions about what's being said, do ask questions. We'll answer them through chat, and we'll also be selecting the best ones that we want to address with everybody in the audience here tonight. So thank you all for joining. We're going to pop up a little poll here just about conventional corn, since that's one of the big topics for tonight. If you see this poll, we'll leave it open here as everyone's logging in, and we're going to give it a minute or so because we have so many people joining. So just take a moment and answer the poll if you can, and then we will get started. And for anybody who is going to the Farm Progress Show next week, Ron, Steve, Brant, myself, the whole FBN team, we will be at Farm Progress, and so we can go through all this material in much more detail with you there. We'll be happy to give you the full in-depth rundown on all the products. Any questions you had that didn't get answered tonight, we'll be there to give you the details. Okay, so we're going to close the poll. Okay, great. So there's the results. It looks like about 38% are growing it today. 38% aren't growing it, but are considering it. And about a quarter of you have not grown it yet. We hope to be able to provide some more info. So with that, I'm going to turn over the presentation to Ron Wolfkuhl and our team here. Ron is our head of seed. Ron's really a phenomenal person, grew up on a farm in Kansas. I get to embarrass him a little bit here. Ron came to FBN this last year after a very long career, distinguished career in the seed industry. He had come to know the FBN mission, and I think that's one of the most important things about what we're going to show you tonight. As all of you know, as FBN members, FBN is fundamentally and radically committed to farmer profitability and putting farmers first. And probably the #1 request we've had since we created FBN, and especially since we created FBN Direct, was figure out how to lower seed costs for our members. And so we've tried every manner of tactic, working through all kinds of other companies, listing other products. And ultimately what we decided is that in order to bring truly deep cost savings, truly radical innovations direct to our members, we're going to have to do it ourselves. And so that's what's brought us here tonight. And we're very excited to introduce the F2F Genetics Network. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ron, and we will get into tonight's program.
Charles, thank you so much. It's absolutely fantastic to be able to speak across the country this evening to all the farmers that are joining. I've been so very fortunate in my career. I got to be on the first development team and lead the first marketing team that launched the first traded corn ever sold in the United States. And then I got to lead the effort to build the first licensing business to ever truly compete against Monsanto in the traits licensing space. Now I've got the opportunity to support FBN to build what I think for our seed business is probably going to be the most disruptive launch of a seed business ever, completely to the benefit of farmers. And what I mean by completely to the benefit of farmers, if you think about the core of FBN and what it's about in terms of driving farmers' profitability, utilizing data science and data transparency to help you make better decisions, is aligned perfect for the launch of a seed business that can bring forward fantastic genetics, and in our case of soybeans, off-patent traits in soybeans. So I'm going to be joined this evening by Steve Sick, who's our product leader. Steve comes in as well with a long career in seeds. Steve and I worked together many years ago in Golden Harvest before it was acquired by Syngenta, and really look forward to Steve's expertise in our business. Also, Brant Cayley will be presenting this evening. Brant has the longest experience with FBN on our seeds team, and Brant is the commercial leader, and we'll be talking through our pricing and our programs and how they can help you drive profitability. So if we could move on to the next slide. This evening, we're going to cover several things. We're going to talk just very briefly about why is FBN entering into seeds, and if we're going to go into seeds, why now? We're going to speak, what does this mean when someone says F2F Genetics Network? It's kind of an unusual name for a seed business, but hopefully we can make it very real in terms of the way that we're approaching the business. Going to discuss our product lineup of corn and soybeans. There's other products that we sell today. Many of you on this call have probably planted our calyx soybeans. You've seen our announcement about that we're going to be selling Arcadia wheat. But tonight we're going to be focused on corn and soybeans. We also put together a fantastic set of programs to help farmers profit. You're familiar with our reports and our studies that we've come out that have helped to shed the light on what goes on with zone pricing. And our programs, you will see, are absolutely consistent with what FBN's position has been in the marketplace with regards to transparency, not having zone pricing, having an approach to farmers that's simple and easy to understand and can help your operation. We're going to speak a little bit about the future, what's to come in our portfolio, what's to come in our approach to the seeds business. And then at the end, we'll open it up for questions. As we go through the evening, if you have questions, you should be able to type those in, and then we'll address those questions hopefully in the order that they come in and get those wrapped up. So all in all, we're shooting to keep this presentation to about an hour, but if there's a robust set of questions, then we'll continue until we're able to adequately address those. We could go to the next slide. So why now? This chart shows a large part of that equation. If you think about farmers' yield, and so if you look at the left, many of you have got to experience this. I mean, back in the mid 90s, those of you that were farming and the average corn yield was about 140, who would have ever expected that you fast forward a few years and corn yields are 170, 180, depending on where you are, your county. There's some counties with county averages 220. Corn yields have just increased fantastically. So you would think that would mean that it's a good time for farmers. But if you look at the chart at the right, that's actually not the case. So while yields have increased, prices are difficult right now. I was just looking the other day, and corn price right now is the same as it was back in late 1974. And so prices are very challenging. And then the cost of inputs. The cost of inputs have increased rather dramatically, with seed prices easily tripling during the same sort of time period. Other inputs, you're quite familiar with the equipment costs, the cost of land, all these things, and they're all driving against farm income. Well, this is a perfect opportunity for us to be able to come forward with the seed brand that we're able to take advantage of some of the strengths of FBN to put together a set of seeds that's going to be able to help your profit. If we can move to the next slide. So if you think about market capitalization, so this is the value of big companies that are publicly traded, and simply looking at their share price and how it's changed. Well, over the past 4 years, here's 3 examples of companies that have had tremendous increases in market capitalization. And you remember the slide before about what happened with farm profitability? It would seem this is in a different direction. And I found it a bit ironic that a few weeks ago, when Syngenta announced that their profit, their EBITDA, all right, their earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, was $1.7 billion during that 6 months, was the very week that corn hit its all-time low on the Chicago Board of Trade with regards to the last few years. And so that's why now, because we have an opportunity to do something that we believe can help farmers. Could you go to the next slide? Some of you may have saw this this chart at the farmer to farmer, but it's very relevant. It's the seasons data, and what this shows is on the left is our corn seed price by trait. So conventional corn, when you as farmers send in pictures of your invoices, conventionals average $175. All the traded varieties put together average $265. So $100 a bag difference. Bag plant's about 2.5 acres. You'd expect that there should be at least 10, 12 or more bushels yield change, even if the company's kept it all under this idea that the farmer gets to keep at least a third of the growth in profit, you'd probably expect that there should actually be more like a 15, 16 bushel change in yield. But take a look at the bar on the right. There's actually not. Traded varieties and conventional varieties have been yielding very, very similar. And you may say, well, I just don't believe that, huh? What's behind that? Well, with genetics are what make conventional corn what it is. And the traits simply protect that yield. So as long as you can control the weeds, and as long as you can control the insects, then conventional are going to yield the same as traded products, because it starts with the genetics. That's what generates the yield. If we could go to the next slide. Look at soybeans, virtually identical. You can see the price of conventionals at $38, GT at $48, RR2Ys at $50, which I find interesting that you pay $2 more for RR2Ys than you do for GT when they're exactly the same yield. And then you have the RR2 extends. Those are priced a little bit more. There's a trait there that would allow farmers with some difficult weeds that are hard to control with conventional herbicides. They have that option, and so the seed companies are able to charge a little bit more for that. But you by now you get the picture, huh? That most farmers are not in a position to barter with the trait developers to affect this. As FBN, though, we have the ability to do something about it. We could move to the next slide. So we're going to bring it all together. We've put together a fantastic set of genetics. When I was the CEO of Greenleaf Genetics, we were able to work with a lot of different breeders and we're able to put together incredible genetics. Here at FBN, we've built a network of breeders. So these are breeders that are motivated to be able to work with us, to be able to bring their products to the market. And so that we're able to put together just an incredible set of hybrids and soybeans. And it's just the beginning of the portfolio that we'll be bringing as we go forward. We can combine that with low prices. By now you've seen our pricing. You see that it's low. This is not because we just want to go out and lose a bunch of money. It's actually because we've been able to put together a value chain that we can deliver to you this chance to make more profit. We go to the next slide. So what does this network mean? So for a network to work, there really needs to be two-way information. And so as you plant these hybrids this spring and provide us your planting information, and then when you harvest those hybrids in the fall and provide that to us, you'll be able to see how these products perform on your farm and with your neighbors. And it's going to be completely transparent. If these hybrids work really well in certain situations, you're going to see that. If a hybrid has a weakness, you're also going to be able to see that, just like you can today in Seed Finder. But then we're going to be able to work with the breeders, though, and help them to identify how these hybrids performed in those agronomic situations, which will allow them to develop the right heterotic families in the future that can meet real-world farming situations. Today, breeders have to develop hybrids based on research trials. These trials have to be placed on uniform soils that tend to be at least average yielding, oftentimes higher than average yielding compared to county averages, which you have to do to be able to get good research data. But unfortunately, that changes what it looks like from how these products perform on a farmer's field. In our case, we have the ability to provide the breeder direct feedback. This will be anonymous data, all right? No members' data is going to be shared directly with the breeder, but provide anonymous feedback of how different genetics perform under different situations. So that's part of participating in the network, where you yourself, sharing the data, have a chance to shape the kinds of products that will come in the future to be able to yield at a high level for your farm. Next slide, please. So the value chain is an interesting one in the case of seeds. A lot of people touch a seed before it gets to you. So the trait originator, this is the handful of companies that are able to develop traits. They would release these traits to breeders who put those traits into their products. The breeders then either sell those seeds to independent seed companies, or they go through a foundation seed company or a broker. Seed company sells it to the distributor to the retailer to the farmers. You get the picture. There's a lot of hands that are touching your seed before it gets to you, who bring different levels of value to that process. If we could go to the next slide. At FBN, we have the opportunity through this network that we described to be able to bring the breeder as directly to your farm as possible. So we'll work with the breeder, we'll directly produce those seeds, and then we will ship them directly to your farm. Much as what you would expect from FBN, but it's a chance to really help bring to you lower prices on seed than what you've probably seen in a long time. Next slide, please. We've got some core principles. These apply to our seed business, but also more broadly across FBN, farmer-driven, breeder direct. We're going to have data-enabled breeding. We're going to help you to be able to have a strong product that you're selecting from and have complete transparency. We're going to have yields without compromises. So this is a path to market for high quality conventionals. These are products that we've done the research on. We have a couple of years worth of data, literally more than 100 locations. And we're also going to be bringing forward off-patent traits. So these would be the soybeans where we're not paying a trait fee to anyone, and that allows us to offer that savings to you. Total transparency, you've come to expect this from FBN, but we're going to go a step farther with our seed. We are going to offer not only the price transparency if you're familiar with. If we relabel a product, that's absolutely going to be transparent. But better yet, we're going to go a step farther and be transparent with regards to if two of our corn hybrids share a common parent, like a common male or a common female, then we're going to be upfront about that. And then in terms of what you're able to see on trial and real world yield performance, we're also going to offer total transparency. Finally, with regards to fair pricing, that will be fully transparent. If there's a deal, then you're going to see it completely. So you're going to get the best deal. You're going to have our programs this evening. There's not going to be any haggling, no hidden discounts. And we're going to go a step further. And Brent's going to talk about our Soybean Plus One, which I believe is quite novel in the industry. Next slide. So beginning this year, right away, launched the business last week. Conventional corn's available for $99 a bag. Each of our hybrids are priced the same, no zone pricing. Our GT soybeans are $29 a bag. You have the flexibility, as Brent will talk through, a SOI Plus One to be in control of your seed costs for next year. There's a lot of details around these programs, and Brent will talk those through. Steve's going to talk about in some details about our corn this evening, and then just touch on briefly our soybeans. We'll be having a follow-up webinar that will go much more deeply into our product information, but Steve will introduce those products this evening. Next slide. So on F2F Genetics, you can take a look on your just Google F2F Genetics, and our website will come up. On that website is a lot of information. There's detailed management practices, agronomics, disease tolerances, yield comparisons, profitability, all sorts of information that is going to help you manage your farm better and make the right product choice. So this evening we have time just to hit on a bit of it, and then in a more in-depth webinar we'll go take a look much more deeply with Steve. But feel free in the meantime to take a look and make the choices of the products that you'd like to have on your farm. Next slide.
Well, thank you, Ron. Good evening, everyone. My name is Steve Sick. I'm the seed product expert for FBN. Just a few things we want to cover here on the product side. First of all, I just wanted to take a look at the corn return on an investment example here that we have up in front of you. This is really key when you think about FBN products and really what you should think about on your farm. It's not all about yield. While yield is obviously very, very important, keep in mind that the return on investment is even greater, as Ron mentioned, with lower commodity prices equaling back into the 70s. That is just unheard of. You can give up a little bit of yield in some cases, not a ton, obviously, but you can give up a fair amount of yield when you have lower cost seed input. So that is one thing to really keep in mind. If you look at the example up there of the DeKalb product against 128A, our new 112-day hybrid, you're looking at a $42 an acre net revenue difference. That is huge. And you look at it and they're basically flat even in yield. That is really huge. So you can say, yeah, boy, I can get a better yield on my, on a competitive product. However, when you look at we're the same yield, but we're giving you a greater return on investment. That is really the way to look at this. We have those examples on our tech sheets, and where we do have the information available that you have provided, especially in the future as we get more and more experience with these products. So that is very key to remember. If we move to the next slide, as we go forward, the return on investment. If you look at our first corn hybrid, kind of the way to distinguish these is, and all this information is available on the web too. The 028A is 102 day. 8 is always going to stand for the year of launch. A represents what region it is for. So A means all. So the 128A will go into all areas. Obviously, you don't want to take 028A down to the Gulf Coast, way out of maturity zone. However, with its excellent disease package, great tolerances, good tall plant height, as you can see there on the left with the pictures that we're trying to get on all of our corn hybrids. Very attractive plant type, nice ear, good fixed ear. You can see there the number of locations is huge. I mean, some people may think, boy, that's not many locations compared to the data we're used to at FBN. However, when you look at east and west combined, you're looking at 152 locations. That is a lot of locations, especially for research data. And we will hopefully have more next year as we get into the Trailblazer program and get more experience out in the field with these products. So if we move to the next slide, please. 068 WCE, here's the first example of a hybrid where the suffix is WCE. So that means it's meant to be kept in the West Central East region in its area of adaptation for 106 day. Does not work very well south. It needs to be kept out of that real hot, dry area down in the southern Kansas, out of maturity zone really. Taller product, it's definitely a taller product, more upright leaf. Definitely got a good, nice fixed ear. You notice we don't have competitive data on this one for the east-west breakout. And the reason for that is in the research trials, we did not want to show, okay, it was against a DeKalb product in the east and it was against a Pioneer product in the west. We want to try and get equal comparisons by like hybrids across the entire country, east and west. So we have good geographic breakdowns. So really solid product in 068A. We can move on to the next slide, please. 088A, very solid product. Our first semi-flex here, very good for low to medium populations, works well on high populations as well. So if you're going to try and plant, down into that anywhere 18 to 20, 22,000 seeds per acre, very good choice for that. More of a medium tall product. It's not going to be, it's not going to wrap up your pivot by any means, but it's also not going to be 2 foot off the ground. So it's going to be a nice medium tall hybrid. Once again, semi-flex ear. That's our only semi-flex ear in the entire portfolio, but it does work well for dual purpose, real good silage product, and will also go down southeast Kansas, down into the Texas, Oklahoma market as well. So this one works very well south of its area of adaptation. Next product, please. 108A, new 110 day. As you can see from the data results, good 38 to 40 locations of data on 108A. Semi-fixed ear again, but really good disease package, moves good, very good south of its area of adaptation. So this will move down into the 114 to 118 range very easily. It'll also move north very well, which is very good. It's got a great disease package, which allows a lot of flexibility as far as north and south movement. So it's a great choice for basically a go anywhere hybrid if you want to use it for a silage, or if you want to use it for in season in its area of adaptation, or if you want to move it south to get in, maybe harvest early, take advantage of those early season good prices, hopefully better prices, I should say, and also, maybe into double crop situations. This is a good choice for that too, to where if you want to plant early down south and take it off early, maybe plant another crop behind it, be a great choice for that. Really like the grain qualities. You can see the grain depth on it, really good. I'm assuming, I haven't seen the test weight data, but I'm assuming it also looks like it's going to have high test weight. Move on to the next product, 128A. Very solid product. Excellent dual purpose hybrid. Really good silage product. Moves south, it'll go down into that 118 to 120 day very well. Responds very good to medium to high populations. Semi-fixed ear, really like the test weight. Out of all of our products, this one probably has the highest test weight. Excellent stalk strength on it. It's a product that you can leave out there in the field. You don't want to leave it out there till Christmas, obviously. However, if you want to delay harvest, take advantage of maybe some infield dry down, with 128A, you would have a really good opportunity with that. You know, you look at the yield data, you may think, boy, it's a couple bushels behind the DeKalb product. A couple bushels is nothing. When you talk about research data and you think about statistical differences, anything within plus or minus 10 bushels in research data is statistically the same. Now, really on a way to describe that, you know, that's maybe unrealistic in some areas, 226 bushels. However, a good rule of thumb is that in research trials, you can take about 15 to 18 bushels off that for a real world situation. Research trials are typically planted on good, highly fertile ground where they need to get, you know, yield results. We have to get the plot data from this. So, you know, it's not planted on, you know, over the hills, some real super sandy ground, things along that lines. It's planted onto more ideal situations. So that's why typically you can take 15 to 18 bushels off of a research data and get more of a real world situation. One thing to note on our corn hybrids, we are offering it all with one seed treatment offering, still to be determined yet the exact components of it. However, it will be one seed treatment offering this year. We're also not offering untreated seed this year. We maybe hope to in the future. However, it's one seed treatment, be seamlessly priced on the corn side. Real good option. We've got a good team working on different components, and we'll have the exact mixture and costing and that available really soon. So I think you'll be really happy. The other thing too to note on our corn hybrids and soybean varieties, both of them will be offered in paper bags, 80K on corn, 140K on soybeans, and black boxes, 40 unit black boxes, which is somewhat different than the industry. Some go at 45, some go at 40, some go at 35. We thought 40 was very, very universal. We wanted one package type. We want to make things simpler. It's a lot easier to deal with as well. Going forward, paper bags are still a lot of demand for paper out there as well, and we understand that. We're going to try and obviously, you know, ideal, everybody wants the medium grade size. That's ideal. However, with the growing conditions, you just don't know your makeup until we get into harvest as to whether, you know, we're going to have flats, rounds, small rounds, medium rounds. All that is determined this time of year and will be determined after harvest. We'll have a good idea of that from field samples coming up. Although our hybrids are planted a little later, so our harvest is going to be, you know, a little bit later on the seed side. However, it's not going to be too late where we're worried about frost at all. We're not. That's the furthest thing from our mind is any kind of frost damage. So we'll have a good supply. I think our 5 corn hybrids are great examples of conventional products that you were not going to take a yield hit. Very, very solid products were chosen because of their yield, because of their defense package. Look at them kind of all as an all-in-one package. So we've got yield, we've got dual purpose. All of them are excellent at dual purpose. All of them have excellent yield potential. All of them have great defensive packages, good against southern and northern diseases, good east to west movement. The only watch out, like I had mentioned before, is just keep that 106 day right in its area of adaptation, and you'll be just happier than heck. We can move to the next slide. Just one last slide here on the soybean side. As Moran mentioned, we will go into more in depth with product call at a future date. However, just wanted to show you the same thing on soy exists as what we had on corn for the return on investment slide. It is very key. You know, if you look, actually in this case, 258A outdid Asgrow 2031s. Even if we were just a few bushels under, 2 or 3 bushels under, even 5 bushels under, we're still going to have a better return on investment than you would planting a trait that in some cases, especially with Extend, do we know if it's even going to be around after November? It may be only used as a pre or a post. We don't know. Why do you want to pay for a tech fee or a trait fee that you can't use? You know, it's not a good investment to pay for that. I always kind of liken it to my wife's car. She pays for satellite radio. However, she drives 200 miles to work. So, you know, you really don't need that investment. You know, why pay the $8 a month? You know, it's up to you. It's your choice, you know, as anything else. However, you know, when we talk about return on investment, I think we've got great opportunity with our FBN products, both corn and soybeans, and hopefully future products that we'll announce here soon, product lineup. that we will have a great offering and a great opportunity for everybody to take advantage of. And with that, I will turn it over to Brant to go through our programs.
Alrighty, thank you, Steve. Can we get the next slide? All right, so guys, I'm excited to talk about the programs and the pricing that we have for this initial launch of our seed. And the first thing I want to cover is our pricing, because we've been able to hit some really attractive price points. And Ron mentioned this and kind of alluded to this at the beginning of the session, but by cutting out layers between the breeders and the farmer, we've been able to get really high quality genetics at a really good price, and a price that we're pretty proud to stand behind for this first year. So, just to kind of speak to our pricing, part of the way we came up with this price point was that we wanted to kind of cut back some of the layers that farmers don't necessarily use all the time. So we have a $99 price point that you can add on to if you would like to, be able to ensure that you can return your corn, or we have various different things that you can add on to, which has allowed us to hit this $99 price for the majority of customers who, they just want their corn at the best price that they can get it. The other exciting piece about our pricing this year is that, as Ron mentioned, it's completely zone free, completely haggle free. There's no hidden surprises behind it. So the price is the price, right? So the second piece that I want to hit on that we have, and you'll hear us iterate on this throughout the rest of the presentation here, we're really jumping behind 0% financing. So if you've been an FBN Direct customer with us in the past, you know that 0% financing is something that we really think is important. We think it's something that farmers find a lot of value in, and we want to roll that out to our seed customers as well. The next program that we want to offer, I see a couple comments in the thread and questions here about, how do we account for the extra chemical costs that may come with growing a conventional corn? And trust me, we're aware of that. And you guys will see documentation and reports coming out over the next couple weeks that really speak to the entire program, right? It's not just about seed costs, right? What are the extra chemical costs that go into growing a conventional, or in some cases, there's extra chemical costs with just doing a GT soybean. So we're gonna lay that out for you guys. We're gonna show you what a chemical program could look like. We are offering what we're calling the unbundled discount on direct orders. So you know of the bundles that go on in corn and soybean in the seed industry today. We wanted to do something different. We wanted our bundle of corn and soybean to be different than the industry, and I think we hit that. So our quote unquote unbundle is completely open. So you can choose any products that are on the FBN Direct store, any chemical products that are on the FBN Direct store, and you can add that to your order. As soon as you place an order with FBN, you will get a discount added into your cart. And the idea there is that will help you offset some of the additional chemical costs that come with some of the switches that we're asking. So those are the core offerings that we have. I want to speak to the two programs that we're putting people in here over the next couple months, and that's the early adopter program, and then the next tier up is the Trailblazer program. Okay, so the early adopter program, there's a minimum requirement for that. It's a requirement of 40 units of corn. So as long as you buy 40 units of corn from us by September 30th, you're going to get all the benefits that we've talked about. And then when we're talking about the coupon off of your direct order, the discount's going to be $2,000 off of a $20,000 order. So a nice start to help you get over the hump. The goal here is to try to get guys kind of in the door, trying our varieties and hybrids for this first year, and we're trying to put together a really attractive program that really drives home this idea of profitability on your guys' farm. The second program then, the Trailblazer, this is going to be an elite group. So this is a group that we're trying to really rally behind. We're trying to build up some momentum and try to get a group of farmers that are ready to jump in with the mission of F2F Genetics and the idea that we're trying to build out over the next couple years. So these Trailblazers are going to be in a pretty elite spot. Of course, they're going to get access to the early season pricing. They're going to get access to 0% financing. The discount on direct orders is going to be $3,000. you'll get as a coupon added to your store, and that'll be eligible for any direct order ordered by the end of or by the beginning of December. And then the last line item I really want to talk about, because I think it's a lot of value. So this is our first year, right? This is our very first hybrids that we're going to bring to market, and of course we're excited about them, but we're equally excited, maybe more excited about the offers that we have in 2020. So coming in this next growing season, we're going to have a lot of exciting hybrids to offer you. We're really excited about how the portfolio is coming up, and we want to give our trailblazers access to swap out some of their hybrids that they purchase for some of these exclusive 2020 hybrids as we get closer to the year. So basically we have some hybrids that we're modeling out that we think are going to be good fits, and we're going to have a select number of them. So we want to get them into your hands, and we're going to hold those back exclusively to our trailblazers. So to speak to our trailblazer program, the requirements of it, the requirements are that it's a 500-acre minimum purchase. So you can do that in a couple ways. As long as you purchase 80 units of corn, then and fill up the rest with soybeans to hit that 500-acre minimum, or you can just buy 500 acres of corn, and that will also get you eligible for the Trailblazer program. So we hope you guys will make that jump up to the Trailblazer group. I think it's kind of throwing your support behind our mission here. We'll have some extra swag and whatnot that we'll throw to our Trailblazers, and we're excited about the offer that we have there. Okay, next slide. All right, the next program that I want to speak to is our SOI Plus One program. So our SOI Plus One program is something that we're really excited about for our soybean offer. I think when you look at our corn program, our conventional corn is priced at a really great price, right? It's a jaw-dropping price to us. So what the mission here is, the mission is to give farmers the freedom to keep their seed, right? So there's been this is something that some of you guys have been farming for a long time. This is something that was able to be done in the past, and then as traits have been introduced, this has been something that's not necessarily been available on the market. So we want to allow farmers to hold back the GT soybeans that we offer this year, and we're going to do it through this SOI Plus One program. So the idea is that we want to help you. We want to help farmers hold back their seed, and we want to make sure that it's a good experience. If you haven't held back your seed for 20 years or so, we want to make sure that it goes smoothly for you. So that's why we want all of our soybeans that are going to be in this Plus One program. We want, or any farmer that wants to hold back their seed, it's going to be a requirement that they put their seed into this program. So let me just lay out how this is going to work. Okay, so if you buy our soybeans today and you decide that I want to potentially hold back my seed and plant it in 2020, then come a year from now, you will enroll your soybeans into our Plus One program. Okay, and this Plus One program, it's not just a licensing fee, right? It is a program to try to help the experience go well. So we're going to do a lot of things in this program. We're going to do things like treat your seed. Okay, so the fee of the Plus One program will include seed treatment, and we will either have a network of seed treaters that are out there that are capable of treating seed that we'll connect you with, or if you have your own treater, we'll just send you seed treatment, and you can apply that yourself. The other thing that we'll do though is we're gonna offer a service to try to check the genetics and check the purity of the seed that you have. So what is the germination rate going to be of the seed that you held back? What's the purity rate of the seed that you held back? And we're going to give that information to you before you plant it next year, so that you have a good experience with this program. Now, we don't have the pricing completely finalized yet for this. We expect it to be less than $10 a unit, but we still have some things that we have to figure out as far as building up this network of seed treaters. But I think if you look at the total program, the soybeans at $29 a unit, and then you add in the SOI Plus One program at, let's ballpark, $10 a unit for next year. If you look at our soybeans as a 2-year program, priced at 40 and change for a 2-year deal, that's a really nice program, and I think it's going to drive home this point of us trying to help farmer profitability. So definitely recommend that you guys check out our SOI Plus One program and any details that we add to that here with time. Okay, so next slide. All right, so I want to drive home this point one more time about our 0% financing. Again, we're really excited about this. The purchase has to be done by December 20th, but it's not going to be payable until December 1st of 2019. So a really attractive program, a really good way to kind of get ahead of any cash flow issues that you may have. So definitely recommend that you check this out. So I think that's what I have on programs. I'm going to kick it back to Ron, and he's going to talk a little bit more about the future direction of F2F Genetics. And I'm going to get to answering some of your guys' questions in the chat box.
Thank you, Brent. We'll address those questions in just a moment. Please keep them coming in. We, as we look to the future, I just cannot describe how bright it is. Since we announced the business publicly, F2F Genetics Network, last week, there's been breeders that I had not yet reached out to that have actually contacted myself about being part of our breeders network. When we think about the genetics we're going to be coming forward with, Steve and I are working on genetics to fill into the earlier maturities, to go from 100 days on up to potentially as early as 75 days. We're working with some breeders for the fuller season maturities. We're working on some relabeled hybrids. There's as you can see when you go into Seed Finder, there's some great relabeled or same as hybrids, and we're looking at those, which ones to bring forward. We'll be fully transparent which ones those are. The current corn hybrids we offered are not relabeled hybrids. We're the only ones offering those. And then on soybeans, it's just incredibly encouraging. We've put a lot of miles sitting in the seat of an airplane this week, looking at soybean fields, working with breeders on soybeans. And we've got soybean options that we're developing from group 0 right down through group 7. So basically the Canadian border right down to the coastal bend. And so these some of these products we will be introducing quantities of to our Trailblazers. Part of the Trailblazer program that Brent hit on is an opportunity to look at some of the newest genetics. So we'll have new releases this winter and spring that would be made available to the Trailblazers. If there's additional inventory, then we would open those up to other members as well. And the critical thing there is for us to get the harvest data back on those new products. So very, very bright future. We're going to continue our work with off-patent traits. That's a great way for us to bring profit to the farmers, is to be able to bring forward traded products, whether that's corn or soybeans, so that we're not paying a trait fee to a provider, so that you're able to gain that profit. So next slide.
All right, so guys, I'll speak to some next steps, right, and some things that you can do to get more involved. So first of all, we're excited about our show that we're going to be at next week at Farm Progress. We always have a huge event at Farm Progress Show, and it's going to be no different this year. We're going to have a huge booth. We're going to have Ron speaking every day, I think. So every day at 1 p.m., Ron's going to be putting on a session about our seed, and it'll be a good time to ask him any questions about, if you really want to get literally into the weeds and talk about the genetics that we're offering this year. It's going to be a great chance to meet Ron. A couple other questions that came in. So some questions about shipping and replant. So great questions. Glad you guys asked. We considered having a slide on it, but we were kind of worried about our timing here. So our goal was to try to have a price where farmers could then add on to whatever features they need. So the price that you see does not include any replant protection. And the reason why we did that is we were able to kind of gauge the industry and look at some data, and we found that very few people actually used a replant program. So we decided to not make that be included in all offers, and instead have that be an option that farmers can buy if they would like to have that protection. And if you do elect to buy the replant program, which there's difference in price between the corn and the soybean offers, then it's really no frills after that, right? So you'll pay a small fee to jump up to that. I want to say it's $5.50 for corn and $3 for soybeans, and that will then get you the replant. But more details are available on F2F Genetics about the pricing and how that works. But we did want to offer that as a solution for you. Shipping is in the same boat. So shipping is one of those things where you all know it's a cost, right? You know it costs money to get seed to you. So we wanted to break that out and make sure that people were paying the amount that it took to get to them. So if you order from us, you're going to see a shipping cost estimate on it. I think it's going to be around $3 a unit. But our goal is going to be to drive that cost down as low as possible by doing things like, combining orders together for a lot of seed going into a similar region. So our hope is that we'll be able to get that shipping cost down as low as possible with that. Another question here about seed treatment. So I think Steve mentioned that seed treatment's included with our corn. No additional cost of seed treatment. It's a insecticide and fungicide that comes on the corn. On the soybean side, it is an add-on, so we will treat it for you and we'll ship it to you treated if you'd like. And we do have a soybean option that's an insecticide and a fungicide, and it's going to be $5 a unit. So we're pretty excited about the offering that we have there and the price that we're offering on our soybean treatment. So definitely check that out. Okay, I'm reading through some more of your guys' questions here. About offering our chemicals, yes, we do offer chemicals. We have a list of chemicals that are available on our website, and if you'd like to know about the specific chemical offers that we have that coincide with our conventional corn and soybeans, please give us a call. I've got a phone number here on the next slide where you can reach out to us and learn more about our chemical offerings. Okay, a question about, can we substitute and mix soybeans for the 40 units of corn in the program? So for the early adopter program, there is that minimum requirement of 40 units of corn. But if you want to add on after that, you by all means can add on. And if you'd like to choose a couple different hybrids within that 40 units of corn, we actually recommend that, right? Because that'll get you a little bit more variability on your farm. Question about the Trailblazer program. Is the 500 acres based off of our planting population count or an industry average? So we set the bar on kind of an average population count. So I believe that the minimums are 80 units of corn plus 280 units of beans, or you can do 200 units of corn and also be eligible for that program. Again, more details are available on F2F Genetics via one-pager where you can see the specifics of that.
Hey, Brant, we got a question that I wanted to answer. This is Charles.
Yep.
So we got one question that was sort of only half in jest from one of our longtime members, a good friend. We said, so with these pricing, how do you guys pay the rent? And a smiling face there. But the whole model of FBN is we're going to do business in totally new ways. That doesn't mean that these are bad businesses, for FBN. As Ron showed you in that graphic at the beginning, what we're able to do is effectively deliver you the economics that an industry participant might be realizing inside the value chain. But then by the time that product actually gets to you, because of all the numbers of the multiple hands that get involved that charge margin on top of margin on top of margin, by the time it gets to your farm, you're paying an enormous markup on that product. And so what we're doing is bringing you as close to the product, as close to the source as possible. And through creating this interactive system and creating this interactive network, you guys help us develop the genetics and you help us with the innovation system. And that's a new model that hasn't been done before. So, we're able to bring products to market at costs that others might seem insane or might seem like other companies would go out of business at those costs. But they can be extremely good businesses for us. And the model is, we're going to innovate constantly to drive the economics back to you. That's our FBN's approach. And so, this is just another example of how we can do that. We've done that in direct. We do that in crop marketing and in seed. As Brant was talking about in the pricing, the average discount of the $99 price to what we see in the markets over 40%. For conventional corn, it's 70% nearly below the price of traded corn if you're switching from traded to conventional. If some of you are paying $300, $350 a bag for traits, we see members paying even more. The savings are that much more extreme. In soybeans, as Brant was saying, one way to look at this, if you do the SOI Plus One program, is a blended 2-year price of nearly $20 a bag between SOI Plus One when you add SOI Plus One on there. So those are incredible cost savings that we're able to deliver. And it's only through having the participation of you guys that we're able to do that. And so that's what's so exciting. And that's why, we're eager to get people interested in helping us develop the program, not just the genetics and the breeding, but actually, as there was a question up there about a dealer network and a partner network, and we're going to figure out a new model for doing that as well. So I wanted to make that comment, and I thank the member for that question as well.
Hey, Charles, besides all those ways that you just talked about that we're going to be disruptive in the industry to help the farmer, there's a couple questions around our genetic sources. And I cannot wait to answer this. One of the more specific questions came from a member who said, what genetic sources are you using, Monsanto, Syngenta, or DuPont? I would actually suggest the better question is, what genetic sources are they using? There's an incredible breeder network that exists that we are tapping into, that we have tapped into to bring these products. Steve and I were with a breeder earlier this week that this breeding, that I say breeder, all right, these are real big, these are businesses, huh? Okay, these organizations have a lot of people. We're with their breeding organization. They supply over 20% of the genetics of soybean genetics that are planted in the world, and I guarantee you they are not owned by Syngenta, DuPont, or Monsanto. They are as independent as any farmer that's on this phone, and they would take great offense for somebody to think that they were associated otherwise. That's just one specific example. The breeders that we're working with on our corn genetics, they want us to protect their confidentiality, but it's really shocking if you're not familiar with how that industry works, how many units of seed are planted from these breeders every year in other brands. Some of you see that in relabeled, but there's also many other genetics that are planted that are in brands that many of you on the phone plant that come from independent breeders. So this is not something new that we've created. What we've done is what Charles said. We've just cut out a lot of steps in between, and then that allows us to bring you those benefits. So we'll be transparent on the data. You can make your own choices on the performance, but there's a great availability of absolutely great genetics.
Yep.
Yeah,
go ahead, Ron.
No, Brent, I was going to go just a bit of a different direction. There's a question that came in that was about financing, and so we're offering these great financing terms, and who's behind it? Well, first of all, we're behind it, but then secondly, our finance team has been able to put together a great relationship and collaboration with an affiliate of the Farm Credit System, Farm Credit Services, and so this is how we're able to do this, which I think is consistent with the whole story tonight, that we're able to collaborate with breeders, we're able to collaborate with financing, we're able to work out good opportunities on bulk boxes. You as a farmer network have helped us to be able to put together better opportunities to bring you savings. So Brent, sorry, I interrupted.
Nope, you're good. I was just going to jump back into questions. So questions about our chemical program and if these 25% tariffs become real. I mean, trust me, that's a concern that our chemical sourcing team is actively watching and monitoring closely. And I can tell you that guys way smarter than I are all over that, and we'll be in the best position possible. But I agree, it'll be really interesting to see how that shakes out. Expect our full chemical pricing to be released. I think November 1st is the date we're going to shoot for there.
Hey, Brant, this is Steve.
Yep.
There's been quite a few questions internally and externally coming in about seed treatments. You just want to go over those seed treatments again for corn and soy and what might be on the product?
Yep. Yeah, so we're still finalizing the specifics of our seed treatment. I'll tell you what we do know for sure. Okay, what we know for sure is that on the corn side, we're going to be offering an insecticide and a fungicide. It's going to be a rate that, we're going to make sure that it covers, all areas. So if you're in an area that needs more fungicide, we'll make sure that we have that handled and you have the right amount there. And that's going to be included in the price. So the $99 price for corn includes treatment. On soybeans, it's an additional option. Okay, so for soybeans, there's $29, and then if you like seed treatment, we'll ship it to you treated, but it's going to be an additional $5. And again, that's going to be an insecticide And a fungicide is going to be a custom blend that we're really excited about the performance of that seed treatment. We ran it through a lot of the seed that we sold last year. Guys have had great experience with it, and we expect very similar again this year. I saw another question in there about inoculant. Inoculant is going to be something that you'll be able to add to your order. You'll be able to use the coupon that comes with the early adopter and trailblazer program to purchase inoculant, and that pricing will be released, I think, there with that November 1 timeframe where you can add inoculant. We won't put the inoculant on for you. We'll just ship it to you, and you can put that inoculant on as you're just before planting. Okay, looking through some other questions. Ron, there's some questions about, doing traded corn in the future and possibly doing extend in the future. I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, so our focus on traits is to bring forward new opportunities for farmers like glyphosate tolerant soybeans, because we are not restricted by agreements with Monsanto. We're able to bring a lot of units of some great genetics. If we had agreements in place with trait providers, then before you know it, our hands are tied and we don't have the flexibility and freedom. So one of the key criteria is that we not get ourselves all tied up and then we start to look like everybody else, and then pretty soon you're paying the same prices when you get products from us as from everybody else. So as we go forward, we're going to continue to work to find new off-patent traits that we can bring forward. Somebody had asked about Liberty beans. The Liberty trait is very soon to being in that category. So we have our eye on that. We have our eye on some corn traits. And of course, also for us to be able to negotiate opportunities that don't tie our hands. But it's very important that we be able to bring you products in an unencumbered way so that you can make the right choices for your farm. If you have a very specific situation, like extreme corn rootworm, where you need to use a corn rootworm insecticide, and you're also using a corn rootworm trait or stacked traits, even maybe 2 traits, and you're still having problems with corn rootworm, then that's something that you need to pay attention to and take care of. There's many acres where, as you've seen in our yield performance, a conventional hybrid or a glyphosate tolerant soybeans is very adequate to bring great yields and improve profitability. So we're working on future traits, but in the meantime, we believe that the products that we're offering for many fields are going to be able to help bring more opportunities for you.
Then one thing I just wanted to add, we're getting a lot of questions on packaging. Once again, our corn is going to be offered in 80K paper bags treated and 40 unit hard boxes. Neither in corn or soybeans are we offering totes, mini bulks, soft side, whatever you want to call them, packaging. It's paper bags and boxes, and same as soybeans. Soybeans are 140K paper bags or the equivalent of 40 unit hard boxes on soybeans.
There's some other questions, sort of a different direction. One of those is, have you heard any reaction from Monsanto or others in the industry? Well, I can tell you, my wife and I have talked about, do we need to be sure that we always park my pickup truck in the garage each night? I think that you get my point on that. But in all seriousness, I do have a lot of good friends in the industry that are not farmers, that work for other companies that supply many of you on the phone. And what's been rather remarkable is not hostile comments, but actually quite the opposite. Comments of, oh my gosh, I'm envious of the opportunity that you have in front of you for seeds for FBN, or good luck. It's been really incredible to watch the growth of FBN and the growth of the members, or it's going to be a lot of fun to see how you guys bring data science to the selling of seeds. So good news that the seed industry, much like the farming community, while you guys might compete against each other for cash rent, on the other hand, the next day you go together and you have a nice dinner together. And the seed industry, I've got a lot of good friends, and they've actually, I guess it's really been more, I guess, a bit of maybe envy bit of curiosity, and actually an outright recognition that we're going to change the industry. And that's one of the energizing things I hope that you can find that's going to help us continue to bring you better products and more opportunities. So Brant, do you see other questions that, oh, GMO, non-GM, organic markets. So our corn hybrids, you have a choice. So we're going to do tests, of course, on every lot, and a lot comes back to at least a field size. Sometimes we'll actually split fields into different lots. And we're going to do testing on those. And that testing will indicate to us whether there's any detects of any GM products. For those that inventory, for those lots that there's no detects, then we will make that seed available in a separate category. It'll be sold at a $5 premium. But for those of you that are looking to produce non-GM corn, you can have confidence that we've never detected a GM trait in that corn. Now, nobody in the industry can guarantee zero because corn's an open pollinated crop. But what we can do is we can verify that we've never detected GM in that corn hybrid in terms of the lot of the seed that we would make available. In terms of bringing out corn borer only hybrids, absolutely that's on our radar for the future. Off-patent corn borer traits are a bit more complicated than herbicide traits because there you have not only the USDA deregulation, but you also have the EPA registrations related to traits. And so, but there is a tremendous opportunity with regards to helping farmers on the amount of money that you pay for above ground traded products. I would suggest though in the meantime to look really closely at yields and to look really closely at your other alternatives for controlling above ground insects. If you are compared to a conventional hybrid, if you're not using glyphosate on your corn and you're paying $100 a bag for above ground insect traits, stop and think, what could you hire a crop scout for, and what could you spray for in the event that you actually had an infestation? And then also stop and think about when the last time was that the European corn borer or the other above ground insects were indeed a problem on your farm. So just some food for thought as you think about corn borer traits and how those fit into your operation. Waxy corn, this one is maybe a bit different than some of the others. At this point, I don't have any active activity on waxy corn. For the person that sent in that question, if you have an interest, which obviously you must, please pop me a text or an email or hop on to F2F Genetics and leave a comment, and we can follow up directly. There are indeed waxy options that we can obtain in the market. Just had not been on my radar until this question came in.
Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions that, the one other one I just want to iterate that the soybean or the seed treatment that we use for both our corn and soybeans, it's going to be high quality, generic offerings for seed treatment. It's not old technology or anything. It's going to be well-known stuff that you guys will recognize on the label, and as soon as that's finalized, we can get you the label so you can check it out yourself.
All right, Brent, I think we've addressed most of the questions that came in. Charles, any last comments?
Yeah, if anyone wants to follow up or get more information, again, there's a number of ways you can get in touch with us. Anybody who filled out that poll, we're gonna give you a call here in the order people came in. We've had a tremendous amount of interest, as you can imagine, thousands of folks visiting the website and requesting more information. So we are trying to get back to everyone as quick as possible here. So we do appreciate anyone who gets their requests in early, because that's the order we get back to you. And you can also leave us a comment at f2fgenetics.com. You can email info@farmersbusinessnetwork.com, or you can always just call us and call the main line on the website, 844-200-FARM. And that will
yeah, and Charles, we have a seed number that we should throw up there, because that'll get you specifically to some of our folks that are knowledgeable on our seed offering. They can also sign you up if you're not currently a member.
And this will get you directly to the team. Yep. So yeah, the comment questions kind of came in multiple times on total cost of growing conventionals with with other chemical costs that are associated. One thing we will be releasing here in the near future is a conventional corn growing guide that also includes chemical plans and examples of chemical plans and other products that complement growing conventional corn well, with an eye towards total cost of ownership, total cost of production of the crop. So profitability and ROI is the central focus of the F2F Genetics Network concept. It takes active participation. We're eager to introduce these genetics and to have all of our members start developing them, telling us how they're being optimized. Another point I want to make about the data and the richness of data that's going to come out about these hybrids and varieties is it will increase as we get through harvest here. We have the trial results that we're able to show you now. There's going to be even more data available here in the coming weeks. And so that's the core promise and of the network concept, is that you'll get to see all the data that we have in that sense on yield performance, so that we can give you the best possible view, not only in the trials, but also in the real world as to how these products are performing. And we did get a number of questions from you about either raising seed, creating demonstration farms, wanting to create test plots, regional test plots, or being part of the program as a dealer or other partner. And we are very, very excited to figure out those kind of parts of the F2F Genetics Network program. They all haven't been designed just yet, so we really want your feedback on them as well. Some of you are probably farmer dealers right now for other brands, and so we're going to do just like when we think about innovating in the business model of seed or chemical or anything else we've done, we want to make a really great partner program as well. If you're interested specifically in wanting to follow up as potentially a farmer dealer, if you didn't fill out that poll, and you go to the F2F Genetics Network website and scroll all the way to the bottom, there is a link that you can fill out that just says, wanting follow-up on being a dealer. So that's going to be something we're working on. But please do come drop by at one of the big farm shows. We're going to be at Farm Progress. Ron and Steve and Brandt. Husker Harvest Days coming up in a couple weeks. We're going to be at as well. And then we'll, of course, have all this information at various FBN clinics that are going on around the country. But if you're going to Farm Progress or Husker, those are the great places to meet Ron and company. And we will also be organizing specific seed events in certain regions right here before harvest. So just keep your eyes out for those. We will be emailing you about focus seed events in your area. So